party started. We just came to get the party started.
That's right.
I want all of you tonight. Give me everything tonight. For all we know, we might not get tomorrow. Let's do it tonight.
What they say, all the games they play, nothing is enough to lie.
Let's do it tonight.
I want you tonight. I want you to stay. I want you tonight.
Grab somebody sexy, tell them hey. Give me everything tonight. Give me everything tonight. Tonight, 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 tonight. Everything tonight.
I got a hangover. Whoa, I've been drinking too much for sure. I got a hangover. Whoa, I got an empty cup. Pour me some more, so I can go until I blow up, and I can drink until I throw up, and I don't ever want to grow up, I wanna keep it going, keep it going, going.
Breathing you in when I want you out. Finding our truth in a hope of doubt. Lying inside our quiet drama. You light me up.
Give me everything tonight. Give me everything tonight.
Whoa, I've been drinking too much for sure.
Wayne's World, Planet Rock, Paris Drive, and the time. And she gon' rock to the camera stop. I sing about angels like Angel Live, and Pay My Life, and Samadai, and Amanda, and Tamara, and Najee Moore. I'm in here like, bitch, what's up? Me, can it me? I can fix you up, I can dick you up, I can dick you down. Shout it, we could go wherever, just pick a town. And the jury is louder than the engine sound. Big ass rocks like on the ground, dirty like socks that's on the ground. We see a sweet
Working harder, do it faster. Our work is never over.
Hello everyone, I'm Fear Dragon and welcome to the 9:30 cast of the URTL Underrated Team League. I'm over here with Zombie Grub. Hello, Zombie.
Hey.
Awesome. And yeah, we're actually going to be casting Clarity Gaming versus DuSt Esports, so I'm pretty excited for this. I know, Zombie, you were just casting a little while ago, and how'd those games go, actually?
They were really great, actually. We saw some awesome PVZs.
Oh my god, Protoss versus Zerg. I actually cringe every single time I watch a Protoss army do super duper well, just crushing the Zerg army, and then the Broodlords come out and it's just like the Protoss just flounders because they have, you know, like 7 immortals in their army who just can't do anything against the Broodlords. They're dying to Broodlings, and it's like, oh, your Hardened Shield's being wasted right now.
Well, as a Zerg player, or rather an old Zerg player, I rather like when Zerg wins.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. But yeah, with that said, again, Clarity Gaming versus DuSt Esports, and I'm pretty sure that we just want to jump into the games really quickly, especially since I think we're starting like a couple of minutes late. But with that said, I just want to really quickly give a big heart and shout out to our sponsors. That's over at Next Level SC2. I believe they actually just released some videos, didn't they, Zombie?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, and featuring our very own Xander Fever, so go ahead and check those videos out if you want to get better at StarCraft. And also Origin PC, a super awesome place that you guys can get gaming PCs, because it sucks to play games on PCs that can't handle it. And then who's our last sponsor, Zombie?
You said Next Level SC2,
Next Level
Origin,
SC2, Origin PC, and
SC2 Gears.
yes, SC2 Gears is pretty freaking awesome. Awesome replay analysis program, and it's completely free, so there's absolutely no reason you guys shouldn't go check that out. And with that said, Zombie, I'm honestly just ready to jump in the games. Are you?
I'm ready.
All right, sounds good. And yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get started right about now, as we spawn over here in the top side of Metropolis. It is right on top of Clarity Gaming's Mercy as the blue Protoss player. And his opponent is going to be spawning down in the bottom left-hand side. Who is that, Zombie?
Shoot. He is going to be IMP Duster.
Yeah, and I believe that he is, as his name would probably say, is representing Team DuSt. I don't actually know if his name is IMP or if it's
I think he used to be on Impulse.
Impulse. So his name is ER then?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I always thought his name was just Duster.
I'm just going to call him Duster because that sounds like a pretty awesome name, even though that's probably just his team name. Heck, maybe he's the team captain. I'm actually not 100% sure. But with that said, we're going to have a Protoss versus Protoss on our hands on Metropolis. Now, I know, Zombie, that you said you used to be a Zerg player. I don't know how comfortable do you feel about Protoss versus Protoss? Do you feel like you know any particular strong strategies on Metropolis for this map?
Unfortunately, well, I know some other maps. Metropolis, that's where I'd be weak in PvP.
Yeah, I feel like Metropolis, just across every matchup, really yields some longer-term games, just because it's such a big map, and it's so easy to defend all of those different expansions, between the natural expansion, the third expansion, and so on and so forth. So, Protoss versus Protoss, if this does end up going to the late game scenario, could be basically just Colossus Wars, as everyone seems to know, but I don't know, I kind of actually enjoy watching those Colossus Wars, because I feel like it's very positional based.
I actually do too. I think, you know, people like Rain really make it look like an art form.
Oh god, yeah. Actually, you saw some of his games over at MLG, it was just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, he made Naniwa actually look like a scrub, at least in the late game. I mean, Naniwa would just move in, right? Be like, I don't think so, and just take control.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Protoss versus Protoss, and actually, I feel like just mirror matchups in general, you can really just show the difference in skill level, and just the understanding of the matchup really is very easy to demonstrate and see, just because you guys are given the same tools, but what you do with them will completely change the way that the game plays out. But with that said, we are actually going to see a first little deviation over here. We actually have the second gateway going down from Duster. That's probably going to be just a 3 Stalker Rush coming out of him. And in the meanwhile, what is Mercy up to?
Well, Mercy is actually just doing really standard stuff. He is chronoing his warp gate, which Duster is, you know, well aware of, and he still is on 1 gas. Duster wants to at least confirm that there's not going to be a second gas put down, but there actually is. So unfortunately, he doesn't know that. So the back end of his mind, he's always going to have to be thinking, is a 4 gate coming?
Yeah, and that's actually one of those really scary things, especially since he saw that Chronos was being saved up on Mercy's Nexus. So I mean, even though we see that Mercy did go ahead and grab that second gas after that probe left, just having that Chrono Boost is going to allow him to put on a little bit of additional pressure if he decides to continue to Chrono Boost that Warp Gate, but it doesn't look like he's actually even going to do that at all. It's just going to throw down that one gateway robotic facility, and that's going to be really, really nice for him, getting up that tech very quickly. And actually, Duster opting to go up to 3 gateways pretty quickly, actually, as soon as all those 3 stalkers are out. So I'm really curious to see what Duster's going to be doing. I feel like he's going to be pressuring.
Well, actually, what's really smart about what Mercy did right there was, you know, he was aware that the probe was in there, so he could have been chronoing and keeping the second gas away to get Duster to overreact, you know, build an extra gateway or 2, well, actually just 1 extra gateway, and just overreact and really just, you know, make Duster read it wrong. Now, whether or not Duster's actually just reading the situation wrong or he actually plans on putting up pressure, we of course don't know. We're not him, but he is getting a Stargate, so I think he's pretty much ruled out a 4-gate.
Oh yeah, that's actually really interesting. And I know that a lot of robotics facility type players tend to struggle a little bit against that Stargate blade. That just kind of has to do with the fact that Immortals don't really shoot Phoenix, and just because when you invest in that Immortal, which is again 250 minerals and 100 gas, that is actually pretty much the price of almost 2 Stalkers. Actually, is that exactly the price of 2 Stalkers? I'm really bad with math. Yeah, I think it is. So again, having 2 less Stalkers to deal with those Phoenix can be a little bit cumbersome, so we're gonna have to wait and see how Duster's gonna respond. Oh my god, look at Duster's Duster's army, which has all these Stalkers out. He's gonna have... Actually, he's not doing anything with his Stargate. He's actually going for a Robo now. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's finally just getting a Phoenix right now. He may or may not see that Observer that's right over his main base, but he's actually going to push the front a little bit, see what he can do. Can't really do anything against a Sentry and a bunch of Stalkers, so he's just going to, you know, keep there until he feels like it's going to be too dangerous to stay there any longer. But the Observer sees everything, so Mercy would be wise not to get an Immortal, at least not yet, until you have an appropriate amount of Stalkers and defense to take care of the Phoenixes.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. And actually, at the same time, I really like that little move out from Duster with those 5 little Stalkers, just because one thing he got to see was, okay, the expansion hadn't been planted down just quite yet. And the other thing is, it's kind of weird to think of Protoss like this, but a lot of Protoss have been getting super duper greedy in this matchup, and just the fact that they try and cut as many units as possible, and especially when you get those Sentry out, you want to try and cut out units to just get down tech, get down that expansion and everything. So by just moving those units out there, he actually forced Mercy to just warp in another additional Stalker and another additional Zealot. And it's kind of almost like how you move out against a Zerg player and you force them to create a bunch of units instead of drones from their larva. And kind of similar idea, I feel, sometimes comes in. But, I mean, while I was rambling on that, what actually ended up happening with those Phoenix, do you know?
They're actually like... Well, actually, 1 is out. Yeah, 2 are actually out in the middle of the field. They haven't actually done anything yet. It looks like he's going to push with them and see if he can lift up those sentries and then put some real aggression on Mercy's side. Actually, just pushing forward, sees 3 Stalkers in the mineral line, says, I'm not going to deal with that. But, you know, there's an Immortal and a bunch of Stalkers coming out for Duster right now. But Mercy does know that Duster has expanded, so he knows he can defend this, and this is not an all-in.
Yeah, definitely. And, yeah, we actually see that Duster just moving back as... looks like he doesn't even want to try and commit to that. Kind of interesting to note that, just because, I mean, we can see that Mercy's expansion is already finished, and in the meanwhile, Duster's expansion is only about halfway done. Do you think that's going to play a huge impact in this, or not really a huge deal?
I mean, it's definitely a reason for Duster to want to do something in return. He definitely wants to do damage, and that's probably why he was moving out right there. Unfortunately, though, Mercy has, you know, definitely prepared. He has that Observer over the army the entire time. So while Duster definitely wants to move out, he can't, and unfortunately, he will be behind in economy at least a little bit. And in PvPs, you know, mirror matchups, a little bit can actually mean a whole lot.
Yeah, and one really quick note is actually... Finally, Duster was able to snipe off that Observer from Mercy, and now he's finally going to feel safe, I guess, to send it across the map, which is kind of this really weird and interesting little mind game that goes on between Protoss players in this kind of matchup, where if you send out your Observer as soon as you pick off your opponent's Observer, if they just start to make an Observer at the same time, your Observer will get over to their base around the same time their Observer pops. So now your Observer is going to be vulnerable, but now we actually just see 2 little Observer friends chasing each other around.
Yeah, it's usually what happens. Unfortunately, though, you can't really follow him around, so I don't know. I'm not sure what Mercy was thinking about doing right there. If you see the observers tailing yours and they have phoenixes, then you definitely want your observer to not be in the middle of the map. Unfortunately, he got a little bit of a head start, so he won't be killed immediately, but at any point when he takes a wrong turn, he'll just come into a bunch of Phoenix's faces. It does look like Mercy's going to put on some pressure. He does have a few gateways back at home, and actually no Immortals. He just completely did away with the Immortals. There's too many Phoenixes. He says that Immortals will not be useful with that pickup, so just going to push with Gateway, it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. We have to see some really awesome micro, considering there are 3 Immortals out for Duster, and I mean, he has Blink, so that will be useful, but we see the Phoenixes actually coming in, lifting up some of those probes on gas. That's going to be so annoying for Mercy, and you know, hopefully he does actually realize which probes are actually killed off, as he needs to put those probes back on gas. That is so important for a Protoss player, but at the same time, he's going to start to move in very, very soon.
Yes, the Immortals do need to target down those Stalkers. They do have Blink, so they will blink onto the Immortals, and there they go. 1 goes down, 2 might go down. It looks like it. And
the Phoenix actually coming back and lifting up some of those Stalkers. That's going to help to cut down a little bit on that DPS, but all of the Immortals have now been picked off, and now just the probes actually coming out and trying to deal a little bit of damage. He's actually losing quite a substantial number of probes, but even with the probe pull, it doesn't look like he's going to have enough to defend.
it does not actually, so it looks like Duster is going to lose here.
Yeah, there we actually see the GG coming out from Duster, and that's going to put game number 1 into Clarity Gaming's control. So, really interesting game. I guess it's kind of funny because we saw so many different move outs from actually both of the players, but only one real big engagement.
Alright, I'm so confused right now. I thought I limbered him correctly, but am I missing something here? In these replays?
Oh.
Like, look at the replay numbers.
Oh, wait. Huh. That is really interesting.
Yeah, I swear to God, guys, I thought I was really intelligent, but obviously I'm not, but I can't make sense of what's
No, I mean, Mercy
given to
definitely
me.
won right there, but I don't actually see him in any of the other replays.
Yeah, so...
That's really interesting.
Maybe he couldn't continue, so they... like a forfeit?
Maybe his internet dropped. I mean, of course, it's possible that something happened, especially with the Hurricane Sandy going on.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure we have game number 2 ready regardless. And kind of weird that we're gonna have someone who won game number 1 but isn't gonna be able to return to game number 2. So that's in case what you guys were wondering about. The winner of that last game in this team league, and actually, Zombie, do you want to explain what the whole team league is about and how one player will continue on for anyone that doesn't actually know about that?
Alright, sure. So the entire clan format is that Koth best of 7, so King of the Hill. Whoever wins stays on and continues going forward. So that's why we're a little confused right now. Additionally, our point system is 4 for an all kill, 2 for a win, and 0 for a loss. So people definitely want to send out their best player first, which can be, a blessing or a curse depending if they win or lose, to get that all kill.
Yeah, exactly. So we are going to be seeing some different players out, but I'm sure that still going to have some really awesome play coming out in that next game on Cloud Kingdom, I believe. So this is going to be a little bit interesting.
Yeah,
actually, okay,
it will be.
Here's actually what's really confusing me.
Okay.
We actually have Duster playing in game number 2. So he was actually the Protoss player that we just saw lose. So I already exited that game, but did we actually have like a disconnect or something at the last second? That would be really unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only other way that I can think might have happened is that we played him in the wrong order, but like that would have been the second game, and then since the person who won couldn't continue, like neither of them continued on.
Yeah, that is a little bit strange.
That might have been the one. I'm not sure.
All right, regardless, we have some awesome games coming on, so order doesn't matter. We know that we have the later games in order, as that's going to be the important stuff. This is a best of 7, so that means you have to win 4 games anyways. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this game and see who actually ends up winning this one.
Okay.
All right, and I think I am pretty much ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready to. Yep.
Okay, let me just really quickly update one more thing. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. And we're going to go ahead and get started right about now. As we're spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner on top of the red Protoss. We just saw him in the last game really just push across with some great blink micro, some great target firing down on those Immortals. This time it's a Protoss versus Zerg. We're going to see how he does. It is going to be Duster, representing Team DuSt Esports.
Actually, I think you mean he actually lost to a push forward from the other. Yeah.
It's confusing, but we saw some great Phoenix micro. He did a lot of really awesome damage with those Phoenix, lifting up those probes in the gas lines. We could actually even be seeing some kind of awesome Stargate play in this game, since you seem to like it in Protoss versus Protoss. Hey, if you like a certain unit, you might make it across matchups. Really curious to see what he's going to do in this game now.
Yeah, Cloud Kingdom's actually gaining popularity back in those PvZ, those air builds rather. His other opponent though today, you know for sure, I haven't seen him yet. He's coming out brand new. It's going to be Senjin, I guess, or C Engine maybe.
I think it's Clarity's Engine.
Clarity's Engine. All right, then it's going to be Engine. That's how we're going to say his name. Yeah. And he will be the Teal Zerg in the top right. And it's. He saw the last game, so maybe, the fact that Duster can go Phoenix is in the back of his mind.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always a possibility, and I just want to say, that is the coolest. I love it when people have those, like, clever, completely different spellings of a word that still sounds like another word, like engine, spelled with a G-Y-N. I never would have thought of that, so props to that name.
I actually kind of hate it, because then I always try and make it more complicated than it is, which you think with my last name, I have a very terrible last name that people can't they want to put a Russian accent on it or something, and I'm like, just stop. It's said how it's spelled. You'd think I would do that more often, but I'm like Engine, and it's just Engine.
I totally get that. Oh man, especially if English isn't your first language, that'd be super annoying. But in the meanwhile, we actually have a nice pro blocks going down on that hatchery. Eventually, Engine does get that hatchery down before the Zerglings are out. And, oh my god, is he even making Zerglings? No, he's not even making Zerglings. So that was actually a pretty ballsy move coming out from Engine, as generally it's very difficult for a Zerg player to get out that hatchery before the Zerglings come out to deny that probe.
Yeah, and also if the probe actually put down a pylon there to block it, that would just be another headache because he didn't get those lings out as soon as possible. Luckily, though, for Engine, didn't need those lings. Only going to get 2, not the 4 that you typically see. So they're probably going to go to the Xel'Nagas or, one at the front usually. That does mean that he won't have an extra one to look for those proxy pylons to be able to detect early on without a suicide overlord that a push is coming. But with good scouting, regardless, you should be able to appropriately read your Protoss opponent.
Yeah, definitely, and he is splitting up those two Zerglings to try and look for, some sort of a proxy pylon. And I really like this, even tagging the Xel'Naga Watchtower with one of those, just to check for any probes that could be grazing by later on. But in the meanwhile, we actually saw that Duster went for that Nexus first, so, even though Engine was able to get down that fairly early hatchery, going for that Nexus first does also secure him a bit of a good economic position. And where's his Cyber? Oh, okay. Cybernetic score is going down in his main. I was a little bit thrown off by that. And kind of interesting decision to throw down that second pylon over inside of his main. What are your thoughts about that?
His second pylon in his main. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about the order and how badly I might have messed it up. Because if this is out of order, it's all my fault. But
no worries. I mean, awesome games are gonna come regardless.
Yeah. That's true. If it's spoiled somehow, then I apologize. But they're gonna be, awesome games regardless. The pylon in the main, I just, I'm guessing he doesn't want the Overlord to let him see how many Chrono boosts go down on his cybernetic core. And the Stargate placement's actually really clever as well. It's not somewhere that an Overlord will actually go to. Actually, quite the opposite. So it's possible that the Overlords will never actually see that Stargate.
Yeah, that's actually going to be really interesting. Although I am a little bit concerned, because if you think about that Overlord that's over on the cliff right above the Forge, I feel like a lot of the times a Zerg player will just send it straight over into the natural, and I feel like he just might barely graze by that little area, and that might be a little bit dangerous, but I mean, we've talked enough about this Protoss player. Let's go ahead and see what exactly Engine's up to. We saw that he did grab that relatively fast and normally timed third expansion, and has finally gone ahead and grabbed those 2 gas guys in the main. I feel like, I mean, you're a Zerg player. This seems like a pretty normal build coming out of Engine, doesn't it?
I'm an Xrg player, but yeah, it does actually. To a double gas at 6 minutes, 7 minutes you usually get, well, you can rather get the Evo Chamber and the Roachborn. You can get the Roachborn a little bit later depending on what you feel like your opponent is doing, so you can get it as late as 8 minutes if you're feeling really, really risky. It's also possible though that he's going to stay on Ling, going to go for some Ling Infestor style, maybe even Milos with these 4 gases coming up. No lair though, and no idea what the Protoss opponent is doing. Yeah, he doesn't see the Stargate. That Suicidal Overload right there does not see it. Oh, but he sees the Void Ray.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a tell. It's hard to get a Void Ray without a Stargate. And, you know, some of you guys might be wondering if you're sometimes in maybe like the Gold or Silver League player, you think, hey, you know what, when I go for a Stargate, I just send it straight over to my opponent's base, because if they're unprepared, then I can just win. And, you know, if you spend all this time killing off these Overlords, don't you lose a lot of time? Well, you have to realize that at this level of play, players are going to be prepared for that kind of stuff. You know, that surprise level is much harder to get wins off of. So it's worth it to just get that guaranteed damage. But hold that thought. We actually have the Stalker almost getting surrounded by a couple of those Zerglings, but the Void Ray is going to be a total buddy, a total bro, and help out that Stalker in need and take out a couple more of those Zerglings. That's actually going to be shutting down a little bit of the vision for Engine. He's actually lost all but one of those Zerglings. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's something that Airplay can definitely do, is it shut down the entire map awareness of the Zerg player, so any follow-up attack is just, you know, it's undetectable really, so the Protoss player doesn't have anything to defend it sometimes, if you're really lucky, and you just completely roll over them. Now, the Forge is actually getting that +1 upgrade, so we could see a follow-up attack, and he is moving out with some sentries right now. No probe going down for the 3rd, that is something that Engine is constantly aware of with this Ling, but it does look like he did get a Roach Warren, so he will be going for that Roach Infestor style. That's very, very common. The Roach Warren did come down at like 8:15 though, so he knew he had time to place it down and just squeak out a little more drones.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be helpful, but you know, he is going to have to be a little bit careful as Galileo Reconstitution, that's the Roach speed upgrade, is going to take a little bit longer to actually finish up, so he's not going to have it directly in time for this push, might have it for the latter end of it, but we can see over here that Engine is trying to get prepared. He's rallying units over to that 3rd, but it looks like Duster wants to bust in with a ton of sentries and stalkers.
Yeah, and you know, Engine doesn't really have anything. This comes down to the fact that the scouting really wasn't there, so he didn't know what was coming out of the base. He does know, of course, that there's no 3rd, but you know, sometimes 3rds are taken later for Protoss players, so that wasn't really a huge tell. The huge tell now is that there's a gigantic army, and he has no army to defend it either. Trying to push down the Voiders with the Queens, they are getting some nice shots off, but you know, there's a lot of sentries, and they still have force fields.
Oh god, yeah, they still have a decent number of force fields. We can actually see a complete retreat from Engine. He's just going to go ahead and sack this 3rd, and I feel like, I mean, that's kind of a wise decision at this point, as he's just going to lose the game if he continues to try and defend it against all of those force fields. I feel like that positioning is just not going to work to his advantage at that point, and you know, as we see the Roaches finally get that Roach speed, that's definitely going to help, especially to try and get in on all the stalkers, but does he even have an answer to the Void Rays?
Oh, the Queens are his only answer. He does have 4 with some nice transfuse, nice shots getting thrown down right there. Almost takes one out, not quite though. But this army, and he's going down into a point where force fields are going to be very, very useful. Not looking so good for the Zerg player.
Yeah, I mean, after losing that 3rd, he's also going to be hurting a little bit on terms of larva. We see the Roaches doing that nice little old hug on those Stalkers. The Stalkers taking quite a bit amount of damage, but we can see that the Voiders are nicely attacking from the back, but outside of the Queen range, and also some really nice force fields going down. But these Voiders have to really be careful, as he's going to end up losing one of those Void Rays.
This is as nice a defense as Engine's really going to hope for right here, but he goes back into his main, and the ramp is force fielded. Losing the natural is not an option for Engine, so even if he can destroy this army afterwards, which isn't looking so like such a possibility, losing the natural is just a killing blow.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like he might be able to do something on the high ground with some of those Roaches, and actually he has Hydralisk out, which is a really interesting tech choice. You generally don't see that against Protoss these days, but I feel like maybe he just did that because I guess Hydralisk Den builds faster than Spire Tech or Infestation Pit. Do you think that might have just been his reasoning behind there? I need to get a defense up right now.
It's hard to say. Hadjisk are actually very good against Stargate, obviously, and also gateway units. So the lack of a Robo might have made him think that Hydras were a better choice. Unfortunately, they cost a lot, so that's kind of, it's good thinking, but not quite like thorough thinking. So he doesn't have quite the big army that he would want to defend this. And now he's down by 30 supply, and you really can't be like that as a Zerg player.
Yeah, honestly, guys, if Duster just walked in with his entire army and just let it die, he could probably re-macro up an army and still be relatively in this game. And there we see the GG from Engine. So Clarity Gaming losing this game is going to actually tie up the series to 1-1.
All right, so before we continue on with the next games...
Hello?
I think we played the last games first, so I'm going to make sure the rest of them are at least in order.
Alright guys, if you don't want spoilers, don't think too hard about this. The game is score's tied up 1-1, just don't think about it. And also, something that we've completely been forgetting to do is actually hold on. I might actually not even have that set up. I think I have voting set up on my screen, but that might actually be gone right now. But you guys can go ahead and vote over at xanderfever.tv/vote. Please go ahead and do that, and you can vote for who you think is going to win, who you want to win. You can vote for who you think your mom wants to win. Just go vote.
Alright, so he takes on...
I know my mom would be voting for Clarity Gaming, by the way, every single time, because she'd be like, Dust? I hate Dust. I hate Dust.
Why do you say that?
That's my best mom impression.
Alright, I am redoing these.
Alrighty, sounds good. And, yeah, we'll figure out what game we're going to jump into next. But in the meanwhile, since you guys are just sitting there, killing some time, just chilling out with Zombie and myself, go ahead and check out Next Level SC2. They have some really awesome videos that will help you guys get better at StarCraft, awesome tutorials, and recently launched, so please go ahead and check it out. You can actually check out also Xander Fever's videos himself, as he's actually on there as one of the tutors. So yeah, Next Level SC2, nextlevelsc2.net, by the way, because I went to .com and that was not the right site at all. Also, Origin PC has really awesome gaming PCs, so please go ahead and check them out, as it's so frustrating to try and play games like StarCraft when you are lagging, as especially you can see for a Protoss player as myself, even being a couple of split milliseconds off on your force fields can really just make or break the difference between whether or not those Zerglings get in on your sentries and kill them all, or you actually just force field perfectly and just completely MC baller it up and take the game in a really frustrating fashion for the Zerg. And then, of course, SC2 Gears is a really awesome replay analysis program. It's completely free, so there's no reason not to go get it. And of course, the lovely Smix's voice, as you actually hear in a lot of pro gamer streams, is always there. It says replay saved. I'm not even going to try and imitate it, because every single time I try and do it, someone always says like, "Oh my God, you sound so." Do you have like a bag behind you? Or are you about to put a bag over my head? Because I sound really creepy when I say it. But yeah, go ahead and check it out, because it definitely doesn't sound creepy when it comes from the actual program. And yeah, big hearts to Zombie. She's like the most awesome #1 support caster for sure.
That was definitely sarcastic.
No,
I am the worst support
totally,
caster ever.
Awesome caster. And really quickly, I'm just going to double check to make sure that the voting is set up. Voting isn't there actually for some reason. That's kind of weird. My XSplit actually just completely went kaput for a little while, and I had to reset all of my stuff. So sorry guys, I will actually try and set that up during the intro of the next game. But do we know what the next game is going to be?
Yes, I figured it out. All right, so the next one's going to be Antigua.
Okay.
Guys watching, just like kind of forget the last two games. All right, like, don't worry about it.
Just don't think. If you don't think about it, the score won't be revealed, because it's not like obviously clear. Okay. Don't worry. If you guys are one of those people like me, who it's like if you say don't think about polar bears, and then you immediately think about polar bears, don't worry. I'll just keep talking. We'll just keep talking. Just listen to our lovely voices, and you won't be thinking like that. But yeah, Antigua Shipyard. Ooh, we're actually going to be seeing one of my favorite players to cast in the URTL. Can you guess who that is?
It's everyone's favorite person to cast in the Eurotale. It's Saravati.
Oh my god, Saravati is one of those players that just has a really cool styles of play. That he has, I don't even know what it is about it. Sometimes it's just so quirky. Like he goes for Stargate openings almost every single Protoss versus Terran is what I heard actually from one of his teammates. Oh my god, are we actually? I think we're casting a Protoss versus Terran against let's see, against Beast.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is going to be super awesome. So yeah, Saravati is really well known for going for those Stargate openings, going for Phoenix and Void Rays against Terran. And you guys might be thinking, well, Marines are so good. They have such awesome DPS against those air units. And I don't know, he just somehow makes it work. Do you know why it works when he does it, Zombie?
Oh man, you know, I casted one exactly what you're saying. It was on Shakira's, and I was like, I don't know what in the world Saravati thinks he's gonna do. He had literally like Colossi and Void Rays, like a lot of both of those, and like not much of anything else. And of course, the Terran player seeing this was like, okay, I'll kill that, no problem. And it was like it was so weird, right? So he overmade Marines because there was Void Rays. That was revealed to him. So he had a lot of Marines and like only 1 or 2 Marauders. So the Colossi actually just melted the army before the Void Rays could even die. It was like...
I think I saw you. I think I saw actually that game casted.
Yeah.
That was, it was so weird. It just didn't make any sense, but it works. And, I mean, the map is going to be Antigua's Shipyard. I finally have everything loaded up. The game is set up, and I'm ready to just jump into this game so that we can stop theorizing about how it works and just see it in action and see if it is going to work.
Yes, I agree.
Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and jump into it. I am ready and loaded up in the game if you are.
Ready.
Alright, let's go ahead and get started right about now as we spawn right on top of Saravati representing Clarity Gaming as the purple Protoss player. We've already been just talking and oozing over how awesome and innovative and creative his play is. We're going to have to see if he's going to go for it in this game. I really hope he does. Again, Saravati representing Clarity Gaming. And who's spawning down there in the bottom right-hand corner of Antigua's Shipyard?
It's going to be Beast as the orange Terran, and I mean, I think Saravati's a name that's going to be circulating a lot, so I think some of these guys are going to know, hey, Saravati's out in the way. And, you know, maybe Beast is thinking, oh god, what type of weird thing is Saravati going to do to me?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of stuff he has planned, as, you know, he's going to go ahead and send out that 9 Scout probe. And, what are your thoughts about the 9 Scout probe? I know that a lot of Protoss players have been starting to do this more as of recently, just because I feel like sometimes they have trouble, especially in a 4-player map. I know this actually in this version of Antigua's Shipyard, guys, you can only spawn cross positions. That's why Saravati's only scouting the cross position immediately. But Protoss players have had trouble getting into the Terran players' bases sometime if they scout after the gateway. I mean, what are your thoughts about that? Do you think it's worth it?
Whenever it comes to Protoss, my thoughts generally just follow whatever Artosis thinks, and Artosis is pretty infamous for yelling at Protoss players who don't 9 Scout. He's always, you know, he mentioned it once and he was severely disappointed when a Protoss player did not 9 Scout. And, you know, the reasons are, like, just what you said. They do not get the scout. The wall is up. Terran players are not so much in the habit of not walling off the front, so... You know, he'd rather you get in there, see what they're doing, and then get out and, you know, lose however many minerals, you know, that minute number of minerals, than just, you know, say, oh, I'm not even going to get there in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean, what exactly is that information that a Protoss player is scouting for against Terran this early?
He's pretty much just scouting for gas at this point. Well, besides the fact that if the barracks is even going down at that point, of course you want to know if you're being 2 racks, but really besides that, you want to get in there and see if the gas is being taken. You can honestly just stay in there for like 10 seconds, and if they don't have the gas down by the time that you decide your probe is going to leave, they're probably not going to get gas. 13, 14 at the latest, some people even go 15, but that's more of a mistake than a build for a gas, at least on one base. So you can get out there with, if you know, seeing no gas and think, okay, it's going to be a 1x expand.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we end up seeing since that CC is down. I'm really curious to see if Saravati is going to go for that Nexus as soon as we actually see a probe being rallied over to the natural expansion. I think that the SCV caught a glimpse of it if he was paying attention, and should be able to probably guess just based on the formation of what's around his base. And oh my god, actually, really interesting note. There is actually no Stalker on the way just yet for
Oh my god.
Body.
Beast just lifted up his command center.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it was like
Oh,
lifted up. I
God.
like clicked back there, and it was just the SCVs weren't moving. And his command center was picked up. I don't even know how you do that. Like, I know you do it when you're being
Isn't it the L
attacked.
button? Isn't it the
Yeah,
L
no, it's the
button
L
to lift
button.
up?
Like, sometimes you do it because you put all your command centers on one hotkey, and you like
Uh-huh.
need to lift one, so you accidentally do that. I've never seen a person do it on one base though.
Yeah, that's really funny. As you know, his natural expansion isn't even finished. I don't know. I guess, and yeah, even on his hotkey setup, we can see actually, yeah, we can see it on the stream. 7 is his hotkey setup for both of his command centers, and then 8 and 9 are his 2 orbitals. But I mean, there's nothing that would even use the hotkey L. That's so weird, but I mean,
Yeah,
pretty funny.
I guess Nerves is playing a little point here right now. Since this actually is the first game, like we disregard the other 2 games, Beast is, is the first player out, so he has a lot of pressure going on him to actually perform, especially if everyone's telling him he's the best player they have, get the all kill. That's a lot of pressure to put on someone.
Oh yeah, definitely. And actually, we see a Stalker moving out from Saravati, really nicely controlled by both these players. Beast does take one shot on one of those Marines, but manages to kill off most of the shields on that Stalker. So the Stalker is going to go ahead and retreat to the safety of his little buddy over there. They might go ahead and launch a counter assault in the name of Ire very soon, but no real damage taken from either side. This probe is over at the bottom, right outside of Beast's base, is planting a proxy column. I'm really curious to see what he's going to end up doing with this. Is he about to put on some huge Stalker aggression?
He is. He's going to do a 3-gate pressure. You really need 1 bunker at least to deal with these. This I got a little accent there. Trying to take out this one Stalker is actually going to lose him most of the Marines, which he actually really, really needs right now, so this is a huge misstep by Beast. Beast did go up to 5 racks, which is not something you usually see. It's either going to be 4 or 3, and that means he will have more production and less tech, obviously. He still doesn't have any gas, so Stim actually wouldn't have been here anyways, but it's not even on the way. And he has no bunkers. That's the key point right here. 3-gate will kill you.
Oh my god, and not just that, but both of the bunkers end up getting cancelled, even though one of them was almost complete, and now he's just going to be defending with pure Marines, but we can see there are almost as many Stalkers as there are Marines, and that is just not good for Beast. We see the lift off from the command center, but it's going to get focus fire down. Is he going to be able to save it? He should be able to save it. Repair, I feel.
Oh, he's actually auto-repairing, and it's repairing the bunkers, or the supply depots in the SCVs, and he doesn't get this. Whoa, but it's not being targeted anymore, so not the hugest worry in the world. This is already doing too much damage, though. Beast, or Saravati rather, is not putting a whole lot into this. He's actually not even warping in, like, religiously. He's getting probes back at home, he's getting a robo, he's macroing up. The damage has already been done, and now Beast is just so far behind.
Yeah, we can see actually in the income tab that's 20 Harvesters for our Terran player and 38 for Saravati, so just... I mean, Saravati has done so much damage, as you said, with this push, and again, I just want to note that this isn't any kind of, like, crazy all-in. He's just trying to do a little bit of pressure, and, I mean, Beast was cutting maybe a couple too many corners, not getting those bunkers up, and this is exactly what happens when you try and cut too many corners, and Saravati will punish you, going for that robotic facility, getting up those gas geysers, and just denying Beast of that natural expansion.
Yeah, so, at this point, Saravati's probably going to get some Colossi out. He's going to go straight up there, because he sees what Beast has. Actually, I think he's seen everything. Well, not quite everything. He doesn't know there's 5 barracks out, but he's seen the lack of Marauders. He's seen that the tech labs aren't producing anything, so he knows that, Beast tech is way far behind. Beast was relying on some type of heavy Marine attack to deal the damage to the Protoss, and instead he just gets shot in the face, so teching up right now for Saravati, definitely the best choice.
I think Beast is actually just, really not feeling good about this game at this point. He actually even dropped a scan down. I think that he saw that Saravati was attacking that gas geyser of his, and he thought, oh, there must be an observer over there, but really it was just the Stalkers on that ramp, just barely in vision, and just wasting that scan is not something he can afford to do right now. He's already in such a low economy situation. Those mineral patches getting mined out. He needs those mules, but, oh man, even the gas geyser are going to be taken out, like, so painful for him, and honestly, what kind of things can Beast do? Do you feel like... I mean, he's so far away from something like Starport Tech to get out Medivacs and just try and go for some kind of counter drop. What can he do in this situation, do you feel? What's his best option?
Honestly, he has 2 options, and one is absolutely terrible, especially with the Colossi coming out. Taking everything and going for it. Not gonna work out. Second option would be to try and be as greedy as effing possible and get away with it. Hope Saravati doesn't attack him for like another 10 minutes. That's really his two options right now. He actually scans and does get an observer this time, so actually seeing the glimmer right there helps. But I mean, Saravati's actually checking to make sure he wasn't like super greedy with an early third. He's not going to just stay behind in his base for 10 minutes because he's not a bronze level player. And he's just going to attack when he has like maybe 2 Colossi.
Yeah, definitely. And oh my god, I just want to really quickly note, this is just a sign of a top-notch player. We see that Saravati is moving around with the Stalker and checking for hidden expansions. This is how you can lose games when you are very far ahead. When you allow players to take small risks like, or actually big risks like that, going for those hidden expansions, and then you say, well, I'm just containing them. I'm making sure that they can't grab their natural or a third, and I'm going to win. And then it turns out that they have a hidden expansion, so really, good job by Saravati, making sure he's checking around for that. He does not want to throw this game away, as his team is definitely counting on him.
Definitely, and of course, like I was saying, and Saravati knows, if you're ever ahead against a Tam player, you do a bunch of damage, you're going to have 2 things in mind. Either they're going to try and get a hidden expansion, which you should check for, or they're going to try and drop you and get ahead like that, and he will no doubt be aware of that. He had an observer, though, in the main, seeing that the factory timing is way, way late, so he doesn't even have to worry about drops right now. So the only thing he has to check for were those hidden expansions.
Yeah, and we see Starport Tech did just begin, so the medevac's going to be still a bit of a ways out, even though the reactor is also going down. I don't think it's going to come in time for this push zombie, and that's going to spell disaster.
Yes, it will. I mean, he pushed with 2 Colossi, just like I was saying, and he's just going to roll over this Terran army.
Yeah, not even going to get a chance to kill off that bunker. He GG's before it happens, and that's going to be end of game number 1/game number 3. So we're going to put this to a 2-1 lead for Saravati.
Oh my
or,
god.
sorry, for Saravati's team, Clarity Gaming.
Well, just go ahead and say it for Saravati. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Well, it is for Saravati, because I guess he's going to move on to play in the next game.
Yeah, he will. That was just like, unfortunately, I think if we let the game, or if he let the game rather, go on for longer than that, we might have seen some weird stuff happen. But a 3-gate pressure is just so standard, and people underestimate it all the time. You know, they see a 2-base Protoss, they're like, oh, he's not going to attack me for quite a while, and then they just totally underprepare. And that's what happened. 3-gate can kill you if you underprepare.
Yeah, and just kind of actually funny little comment from Cyber Sports Network saying that supply difference. I mean, yeah, exactly. That supply difference was actually pretty huge, and again, that is also one of those things that I know you mentioned. You take whatever Artosis says as one of those things that's probably true, and I don't blame you. He's such a smart guy, and he's really well known for saying, hey, when you're ahead, get more ahead. So I think that's exactly what Saravati did. He said, you know what, I have this huge supply difference, or I'm already ahead. So then he just puts that into his economy after knowing that his opponent isn't expanding. He puts it into tech and then puts it into probes. And then he eventually just gets such a booming economy they can get that far ahead in supply. I think it was something ridiculous like 70 or something as a supply ahead.
Yeah.
And do we actually know what the next game is now? Because you're definitely the one keeping track of that now.
I'm not sure if you want me to do that, no, but the next one is going to be Daybreak.
All right, Daybreak it is, and let's see, who's actually going to be playing that?
DuSt Conf.
DuSt Conf versus Saravati. So gonna go ahead and get that game loaded up. But in the meanwhile, I just wanted to note that you guys should all go ahead and check out our sponsors. That's Next Level SC2, Origin PC, and SC2 Gears. They're all super awesome, guys, and you know what? They make esports happen. Without esports, we would all be sitting here paying, you know, like thousands of dollars a month for a TV subscription to, you know, I don't even know, because you don't need it when you have Twitch TV and you have esports. So, all right, with that said, I just need to really quickly finish up 1 or 2 more things, but we are going to be seeing another Protoss versus Protoss, and this time with Saravati. Now, have you actually seen any of Saravati's PvPs?
Yes, I think I have, actually.
Do you know if there's any kind of specific tech that he tends to favor, or actually even just Daybreak Protoss versus Protoss? Are there any kinds of specific builds that are favored? Like, I know Antigua Shipyard, a fantastic map for Blink Stalkers. Does Daybreak have anything that stands out like that?
I really can't remember if any of the builds I did. I know, like, I really wish I did because I think it was on Daybreak and it was a PvP. Is where I first saw Saravati, and did that rhyme? Um, but I can't honestly remember what it was, and unfortunately, like, Protoss is my absolute worst. Like, my
That's
God,
okay. I'm a
you don't see
Protoss player, so
Protoss.
I'll stand in for you a little bit.
But I mean, one thing that I've at least experienced with is the Phoenix all in on Daybreak. But I feel like Daybreak's, I don't know, I feel like I see a lot more expands on Daybreak than I do one base all ins.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely going to be true. As it's actually really funny. I did a ton of preparation for a tournament for a Protoss versus Protoss on Daybreak, and I remember it was actually a show match. It was a while ago, but pretty much just prepared for the late game because it is so easy to go into the late game in Protoss versus Protoss on this map. Just because, I mean, you have to think about how far away you are, and even though you might think, okay, well, in Protoss versus Protoss, that kind of doesn't matter just because you have those proxy pylons, you can warp in aggressively and start just doing a ton of damage. But even still, it's there's not a huge amount of area, and I'll actually come to this when we actually jump into the game, but there's not a huge amount of area for things like blink stalkers to blink into the main. There's it's very difficult for them to actually get into a position to do that with an observer, and it can be very easy just to go for that robotics facility tech early on, defend with a couple of immortals, a couple of stalkers, and yeah, grab that expansion. So hopefully we'll end up seeing some late game PvP, as I know we both mentioned we'd like to see it. So with that said, I'm sure everyone's like, fear, just stop it. Don't want to hear it anymore. I want to see the games, and I feel you guys. All right, I'm sure Zombie feels you guys too. I'm sure Zombie's just like, Fear, you need to shut up.
Oh no, I could listen to Protoss talk all day.
Oh my god, I love talking about this stuff. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into it if you're ready.
Ready.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and start it right about now as we spawn on top of Team DuSt player. His name is going to be Camp. That's such a weird name.
How did you pronounce that?
I pronounce it like camp, but then a f at the end.
Camp.
He's
I
going
was just like-
camping. Camping.
I think of like Mein Kampf.
Mein Kampf. Oh,
Mein
that's a-
Comfy chair.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's so many jokes over here. But yes, spawning as the pink Protoss player, representing Team DuSt, is going to be Kampf. And who's spawning up in the top right-hand corner?
Well, I know this one. This one is gonna be Saravati. Said that correctly. He will be the purple Protoss, and he will be the one to watch out for because he's usually the ones doing weird stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we didn't actually see any kind of that weird stuff that we were hoping for. That Stargate play he did in some of the previous URTL games. Didn't really go for that, just went for a standard 3-gate pressure, and hey, it works out. He responds really perfectly and just says, hey, well, I guess I'm ahead. I guess I'll just get more ahead. But, you know, this is going to give him another opportunity to do something a little bit more unorthodox and maybe throw his opponents for a loop. As you have to remember, this is his second game that he's going to be playing, and, you know, his opponent's team is going to have had a little bit of a chance to see maybe where some of his strengths lie. Maybe not necessarily in Protoss versus Protoss, because that last game we saw was a Protoss versus Zerg. But, you know, maybe say, okay, well, his micro was really on top or really on par over there. Or maybe he favors, you know, this kind of unit composition. I mean, always those kind of possibilities. But with that said, we are just going to be seeing some pretty normal looking builds coming out of both these players. And, I mean, I don't know. What do you think about, or actually I'll just, sorry, I'm going to steal the spotlight one little quick second. I just want to talk really quickly about this ledge over here. As I mentioned earlier, before the game actually started, was how difficult it can be for blink stalkers on this map. And that's just because, look at this. This entire area that goes into the main is completely unusable for blink stalkers. So really, if you want to go for a blink stalker build to harass inside the main, this is basically your area right over here to try and get into the main. That's actually not too difficult to defend. All you have to do is plant, you know, maybe an immortal or two up on the high ground, and then just plant the rest of your units around here. You can easily jump back in to defend. But with that said, you can go ahead, Zombie, and why don't you just go ahead and tell us what exactly is going on with the gas guys are actually over at DuSt base right now.
Well, okay, so this is a little trick that, some of you might not know about, but it has been developed, and it's really awesome to see these type of tricks develop. So the the probe of Saravati is actually blocking Comp's ability to take that geyser. The only way he's going to take is if he forces the probe off. And Saravati can do this to just prolong any tech that's going to be coming out from Comp, or, in general, additionally, rather, it's also just scouting to see if he actually is going to attempt to take that gas. If he doesn't attempt to take the gas, then that's an indication he's going to go for a 4-gate. Of course, Saravati, he left. The Stalker was coming out anyway, so the probe would have died if he didn't leave. He saw the second gate, rather, so he knows it's not going to be, well, it's not going to be an immediate 4-gate anyways, but the gas and the build and the lack of chrono saved up is going to be telling Saravati he's okay in the short term anyways.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. And we actually see, once again, 3 Stalker rush Protoss out of Team DuSt, and in the meanwhile, Team Clarity going for that 1-gate robotics facility play again. So could be seeing a repeat of the last game. Really curious to see what's actually going to end up happening, though, as we see a 3rd gateway out again from DuSt. Yeah, this is actually looking a lot like the last game, funny enough.
Yeah, it's actually looking a lot like the game on Metropolis, was it?
Or yeah, sorry, 2
yeah,
games
the
ago, the
first
last
game.
Protoss versus Protoss we saw.
Yeah, I think everyone knew what you're talking about, because they were, if not, they're like, huh, PPT? Okay. But yeah, so yeah, exactly. First game on Metropolis, looking a lot like that. Saravati is chrono boosting out a Immortal right now. His warp gate's not quite done, while Comps is. One thing on Daybreak is that while Blink Stalkers aren't that useful, a 4-gate or an aggression build, of any kind, you can put that pylon down here and get some nice action going by warping up on the high ground. He hasn't sent a probe, or he has sent a probe actually, so he is going to do exactly what I'm saying, putting down 2 pylons, so one won't get immediately sniped at least. He'll have another one, and he's going to put on some 3-gate pressure.
Yeah, he actually didn't cancel that one pylon that got killed off, and he has to be careful. He needs to cancel this other pylon. There it does. It finally got canceled. I mean, really nice, just attempted aggression. Unfortunately, it didn't get it canceled off on one of those pylons, but I mean, you force or fake out with 2 pylons, and then you force a force field out. You get a really good scout off on the unit composition, and I have to say, Saravati is playing insanely greedy right now, just going for such a low unit count, going for that 1 base Colossus play. 1 gateway Colossus! Oh my god!
Yes, I'm really confused actually right now. Alright, so one thing I wanted to note was that if you do that pylon aggression, no matter how many gateways are on, you do have to cancel the pylons and give up the aggression if the Immortal pops out. They just have too big of a range and too much damage. Second of all, Saravati was getting warp speed and a warp prism, and then like halfway through both researches, he just canceled it. He's like, actually, I don't think I'm going to do that. And I'm not sure if he was trying to fake out any potential scout from Comp and saying, I'm going to do a 1-base Colossus, or if he actually just changed his mind.
Oh my god, that's actually a huge blunder, as we can actually see that, he is just on such a low unit composition. So once those Colossus do finally pop out, he needs them to be as effective as possible. Wait. He's not doing anything with this robotic space tech.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you said he canceled that he canceled that research, and I mean, he didn't even get a Colossus for such a long period of time. I'm actually really questioning the decision to go for that fast robotic space if he's not going to do anything with it. And I feel like just the fact that he invested in that is going to make him a little bit susceptible to what Camp is about to do. As we see, he has made quite a few units. He has that Stargate tech and quite a few Phoenix, so that's going to give him high ground vision. It's going to give him the ability to lift up those sentries and stop the force fields from going down. And oh my god, Saravati, his expansion is going to be so vulnerable right now.
Yeah, he's pretty much gonna have to give up his expansion. Unfortunate, but true. What Comp is doing right now is he's going for kind of an all-in-ish play right here. 3 gates with the Stargate play.
Oh my god, a Zealot in the mineral line of Camp.
Doing a lot of damage actually. In fact, Kampf is, actually that's really cool. He's microing with his probe because you can't lift up your own units. But Saravati did confirm the lack of a natural, so he knows an all-in is coming. He knows he has to be on the defensive. And what Kampf is going to do is going to pick up the sentries and get rid of Saravati's micro potential, and also lift up those Immortals as well and get rid of the big damage dealers, and he's going to just attack straight up.
Yeah, and I actually really like that Kampf is moving in with those sentries, getting a scout off. Actually, yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. He's just getting a scout off on exactly what the unit composition of Saravati is right now, picking off whatever stray units he can and just moving his army to position. And do you think Saravati's going to be able to hold this with that single Colossus?
It's going to be really tough to say. Depends on how Saravati deals with these Phoenixes, to be honest. Nice force fields go down. Once again, Saravati's one of the only force field breaker. Phoenixes are attacking the Colossus, but, you know, they don't do that much damage, and actually, Conf just moves out.
Oh my god, and he lost every single one of those Phoenix! What are we seeing over here as... Oh my god, Conf is going to move in once again with those Zealots. The Force Fields are a little bit late as 4 of those Zealots get in, but the Force Fields recorrected with so many sentries you can afford to throw those down, but the Zealots are now on top of all the sentries and Stalkers. Zealots in the back from Saravati, unfortunately not taking the damage or doing the damage that they needed to be doing, and this is going to come really down to the line, but I feel like those 2 Immortals are really going to pay off now.
They are. One thing I have to keep in mind is that Conf did not expand, so even if he like barely squeaked out the wing right here, Saravati has the defender's advantage, and Conf has nothing back, so he GG's.
Wow, so a really, really well played game, and Saravati takes another one. Wow. So Clarity Gaming going up to 3-1 in game number 2/4.
God.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't even mention it anymore.
Like, people are gonna figure it out, and like, it's like, next 30 minutes people are gonna figure out that I messed up horribly bad.
Don't worry, guys, don't worry. It's exactly like I said before, just don't think about it too hard, okay? You're not meant to think, you're just supposed to watch and be like, wow, that was really good.
Exactly, just watch the games as if they were being played individually. Don't worry about it.
You're done with work, you're done with school, you know, just gotta sit back on the couch, we'll do all the work. We're your friends, we're here for you guys. Stop thinking, stop thinking. Silly guys.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I really have to say, I was surprised that Saravati got away with that. I mean, that was some really greedy play. Going for a 1 gateway, Colossus, or Robotics Bay. Didn't even go for, I mean, a little bit of a blunder there, I guess. Actually, you know, I think that what might have actually happened there with that tech and the fact that he didn't really utilize that Robotics Bay for a while was just the fact that, as you mentioned, he went for the Robotics Bay, started researching 2 different things, and ended up canceling them both on accident. I guess maybe he meant to start researching the Thermal Lance, but Thermal Lance or Warp Prism Speed, he might have ended up starting to research, but since he accidentally canceled it, he just decided, well, there's no point in going for this unit early. I might as well just get out a couple of units so I can actually defend, since I'm not going to have Thermal Lance Colossus out, and then eventually got the Colossus out, so... I don't know, it's kind of interesting to see him get away with that, but I mean, hey, it ended up working out. He was able to get up those units at the time, and I think really also the fact that his opponent ended up going in with those 5 Phoenix to try and pick off that Colossus without his army. I feel like that was a bit of a mistake, as I think if he had gone in at the same time with both those units, maybe even just use the Phoenix not to pick off the Colossus, but to lift up sentries, it would have been more effective, considering how Zealot heavy his unit composition is. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Just the engagement, I guess. No problem.
I'm chatting up. With the last engagement, the one that
the last engagement. What are your thoughts about just the Phoenix usage in that? Do you think it was right for him to use those Phoenix to pick off the Colossus before the engagement, or do you think it would have been worth going in with the Phoenix at the same time with the rest of his army and going after the Colossus, or even just instead lifting up sentries? Do you feel like there's something else he could have done there?
Yeah, there could have been. With the low stalker count that Saravati had, I think that going with the Phoenixes and trying to get those early shots off on the Colossus and getting any sentries rather that he could, because honestly, without that Colossus, if he just saved like 2 Phoenixes out of all of that and took out a Colossus, or at least really damaged the health, and maybe took out 1 or 2 sentries, he had the better army. So, there was 2 Immortals, right? Just 2 Immortals, I think.
Yeah, I think there were 2 or 3 Immortals.
Yeah, and just if he only had just 2 Phoenixes after taking everything out, then he could have lifted them and he would have had a really great army. The problem that happened was that he just went all in, which would have been fine if the Colossus wasn't there, I feel. Plus the force fields by Saravati, we can't overlook that those are really just really good. In those situations, if you ever face up against this all-in force fields like that will save your day.
Oh god, yeah,
And,
those were fantastic force
yeah,
fields.
it was really up to, I think, the person who went Phoenix to lower the sentry count before the attack even began.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Camp needed to do something about that sentry count just because of how high his zealot count was. But with that said, I just want to make sure the next game I think is going to be on Entomb Valley.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And it's going to be Entomb Valley. We're going to have a Protoss versus Terran on our hands, as it's going to be Sarovati from Clarity Gaming versus DuSt Semper, it looks like. And it's going to be game number 5.
Yes, it will be.
Alrighty, so with that said, gonna make sure that I have everything set up with the overlay, and I mean, I'm pretty much ready to jump into it as soon as you are.
You know what? I'm just gonna... I need 1 second to confirm who this guy was.
Yeah, no problem.
It was...
You
Hold
know, in
on.
the meanwhile, while you're figuring that out, I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you to all of our sponsors. That's going to be Next Level SC2. They have really awesome tutorials on StarCraft. If you want to get better at StarCraft, I will tell you that I was actually watching a couple of those earlier today, and I definitely learned a lot, especially against some really cool ways that, I mean, I'm actually a Protoss player, and it's really embarrassing for me to say this, but I'm a diamond level Protoss, and I still sometimes will lose to a 6-pool. Like, just because I'll be playing a little bit too greedy, but, you know, really awesome tutorial by some of the people on that, including our very own Xander Fever. So, he has a tutorial on things like holding off a 6-pool, having good micro either as any of the 3 races, different builds that you might be, if you're looking to learn some new builds and for any kind of matchup. They're all over there, so please go ahead and check out nextlevelsc2.net. And also Origin PC, they have really awesome gaming PCs. It's so frustrating for a StarCraft player to have to deal with that lag, to have to deal with that stuttering, and it's not something, it's not okay? It's like that friend that, you know, is, you know, doing the terrible thing that is not okay. You need to have that intervention for yourself. Go get a gaming PC. Go visit Origin PC. And of course, our last sponsor, big hearts out to SC2 Gears, as it's a really awesome replay analysis program. Almost everybody I know uses it, and the people who I don't know use it don't play StarCraft, so go ahead and check that out.
I'm ready, by the way.
Alright, sounds good, and just gonna go ahead and jump into the game then, and yeah, gonna go ahead and get started right about now. Spawning here on top of Clarity Gaming, Sarovati as the purple Protoss player in the top left-hand corner of Entomb Valley. He's currently on a 2-0 winning streak. We're going to see if he can make it 3-0 and win this for Team Clarity Gaming. And who is his opponent? Spawned down there in the bottom left-hand corner.
It's going to be DuSt Semper as the yellow Terran, so another PvT.
Yeah, and you know what that means, right, Zombie? This means another chance to see if Sarovati is going to go for Stargate Tech.
Yes, it is, and it'll be really interesting to see if he actually does go for that, and we'll have to, you know, try, if he does, we'll have to try and watch and just think about how in the hell it worked, because that's, like, one thing I have to see again. I should have saved that replay, honestly. I think I deleted it because it was in my cast to this folder, and I, you know, purge it every so often. But I'd love to see it again. Now, we are in Entombed Valley. There's no forced cross spawns or anything like that, so Sarovati will have to scout every single base, which is what he is doing after that 9 pylon, which we already discussed. And the Terran player, I'm thinking on this map, he's just going to go for a 1-Rax expand.
Yeah, it definitely would make a lot of sense. I feel like the most common thing in this matchup ever to see is to go for 1 Rax and 1 Gateway expand. And I mean, there might be some different variations. We might see the Nexus first, we might see the Command Center first, we might see Gateway, then Cybernetics Core, then expand, or we might see Gateway, then expansion, but the general trend is fairly fast expansion, just leading up to that macro-style play. Now, I mean, what are some of the tells of that a player is not going for something of the sort?
A 1-Rax expand?
Yeah.
Honestly, unfortunately, since Sarovati did not get the correct scout position first, he really doesn't have a whole lot of tells. One tell could have been the fact that there was no barracks, obviously, and then that's going to mean a proxy somewhere. Other than that, he's honestly just going to be in the dark until he gets an observer or until you can see a marine count. So if he can leave a unit out in front, and if he sees like a bunch of marines that really shouldn't be there, he'll know that it was like a 2 racks expand or even a 3 racks, which is kind of rare nowadays. But you can almost assume like 80% of your games, I'd say, that they're going to 1 racks expand unless you can get in there and confirm any gases.
Yeah, fair enough. And as we saw that, as you said, Saravati's probe did scout the right position last, and it did mean that the wall off was already complete. Marines already out to just kind of zone out that probe. Really curious to see if that probe's going to try and go in once again, as I think that those Marines should be able to kill off that probe before it actually gets to see the command center. But what is Saravati up to right now? As we actually see he's up to 2 gas geysers, mining 3 harvesters on each of those gas geysers, so I feel like he's not going to be looking to do a 1 gateway expand.
I'm not feeling that either. The SCV is going to get in. He actually did not see that probe going over into the super sneaky place on Entombed Valley, and it died, so Saravati actually waited for that, and we are going to see a Stargate. What up?
Zombie. I'm so happy.
We'd be hugging right now if we were like casting in a booth. Just be like, oh, I'm so happy, bro.
Oh, we would, and just like, you know, microphone would come off. We'd just be sitting there giggling, like our little nerd giggles. But, I mean, Saravati is going to go ahead and poke up once again with that Stalker. Going to see what exactly is up inside of Semper's base. He sees that there are 4 or 5 Marines out in that bunker, but the main thing is he didn't see that command center. He might be expecting that there's a command center, but he has to be careful because there are some cool little things that a Terran player can do, such as just a gasless Marine all-in, because, you know, he hasn't really seen what Semper's up to. This bunker could actually just be a complete fake-out.
Exactly. That is something that, you know, high-level play can do to you. You can actually just put that bunker down on a map like Entombed Valley, which means that if they go up the bunker, or if they go up the ramp, they're not necessarily going to see that command center. So it would be an awesome mind game to play. As it is, of course, we know that Semper is going for that 1x expand, and Saravati, there's a lot of tells that are going on, but once again, if the mind games were in play, Saravati could never be sure. The scan actually goes down, so thanks, Saravati.
Oh my god! Oh my god, Saravati canceled his Nexus. His Nexus was about 50% and he accidentally canceled it.
That's funny. So that wasn't supposed to happen, but Semper did scan. He saw these Stargates, so he knows that a Void Ray or Phoenixes are on the way. He sees the Void Ray. He has Marines without stim, though, so they won't be as good against it as they could be, I suppose, but still pretty damn good against it. But, you know, the thing is that if we see what Saravati did in those last games that we casted of him when he went Stargate against Terran, we're going to see some, like, magic working.
Yeah, and I see right now he's just abusing the fact that that Void Ray does have 6 range. He has to be super careful with it, as the Marines actually have 5 range, so just 1 range over the Marines, so can do a little bit of that poking away. Look at how yellow and orange a lot of those Marines are, but oh my god, such smart play from Semper, just saying, you know what, these are the Marines that have low health, I'm going to put them in the bunker, because they can't get attacked over there.
Yeah, that's really nice attention to detail right there. Stalker does try to get up, you know, try and abuse the fact that Marines might not be in the bunker. It's not true. Nice pullback on that Void Ray from Saravati, keeping both of them alive. He just has to be super, super careful.
Yeah, ends up losing one of them, unfortunately. Did do a good amount of damage. I mean, you guys have to realize that as long as the medevacs are not out, every little bit of damage, even if it's not killing off Marine, is actually very detrimental, especially if Saravati decides to push out at any time in the near future. But actually, doesn't look like that's going to be the case. If we just take a look at his base and what he has right now, I mean, he's on a very, very thin defense. I think that the idea behind this little Void Ray pressure right now is that if Semper doesn't keep these Marines back at home to actually defend, he will end up losing a little bit too much. So he's stopping Semper from actually attacking him by having these Void Rays here.
Exactly. So that is something that, you know, that's probably part of the plan, to be honest. And he's getting a Robo, so I feel like we're going to see that same unit composition that we were talking about, that Void Ray Colossus, which can be just so interesting. As you can see, I mean, we can see it in the process right now, right? Semper is getting a lot of Marines because, hey, Marines are the only thing that shoot up right now. Marauders are not going to help him. So he's getting a lot more Marines than maybe he would have usually. So in return, Saravati's getting a Robotics Bay. He's going to go up to Colossus, and Colossus absolutely wreck Marines.
Oh my god, and that is exactly what Cervati's plan is. He says, it's actually, you know what, I think I finally understand this. This is almost like Cervati's treating this as a Protoss versus Zerg. He's making the Stargate units to force out a reaction. In Zerg, it's, you know, it used to be Hydralisk. But in this case, it's going to be Marines. So he forces out a ton of Marines. You know, not creating, when you see this many Void Rays, you don't want to create Marauders. You don't want to rush up to Medivacs. And even if you do go rushing up to Starport play, you go for the Vikings. And, I mean, the Colossus will do so well against the Marines. Not so well against the Vikings, but, actually, that's kind of interesting note. I feel like he could actually just start getting on some Vikings, but no, just going to continue to make Medivacs. As look at how low health these Marines are, even though they have Stim. I feel like that's going to hurt them more than help them at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, unless Cervati messes up his micro, which you should never bank on your opponent messing up, then the stims aren't going to help. And, you know, you're just talking about this build and how it works, and it's so, like, it's really back and forth, like you were talking about. Voider is actually just taking on the Marines at this point. But getting those Vikings means that there's no medevacs. The Colossus deal too much damage to the ground army, and then after that happens, Cervati can just warp in Stalkers before the Vikings can probably even kill the Voiders, to be honest, and his ground army is just suddenly very, very good. So it's another one of those things where Cervati can actually force the counter to counter it.
Yeah, no, one thing I would actually really like to see at Semper is to be careful with your medevacs, but, you know, doing a good job, able to, oh my god, look at that micro from Cervati, keeping that one Void Ray alive. But I'd really like to see Semper just, you know, he only has to have a couple, you know, maybe a handful of 10 or 15 Marines around to actually defend, so maybe just dropping with a handful of Marines and Marauders might actually be a good response, or actually even just utilizing these two Vikings, as we can see over here. Vikings do have a very, very nice range, so he can actually kite those Void Rays as long as he's careful, and hopefully actually keeps the Vikings alive and is maybe able to just repair them up or something. I don't know, something like that maybe.
He's already lost one. He's trying to target that one that's so weak by Cervati, and he's not quite getting it, unfortunately, taking his eyes off of there for 1 second. And Cervati's just going to continue with his Void Ray harassment, which has been so stellar so far, I might add. His macro is kind of slipping a little bit. Both players are right now, but they're, I mean, this micro that's going back and forth, most other players would have lost, like, both medevacs, all the Vikings, 10 Marines, and all the Void Rays.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the APM tab. We can see an average of 230 for Cervati and 181 for Semper. And this is not Blizzard EAPM or anything. This is actual just regular APM. So that's pretty impressive considering my APM is like 10.
And then we press the F key. There we go. No, I'm just kidding. Factory does scout the composition of Cervati. It will be taken down by, of course, Void Rays, and that will give him an option to charge up, actually, so Semper should wait a little while before actually attacking in if he decides to, which I'm not so sure is a good idea. There are no sentries, actually, so he won't be cut off, but just going up a ramp against Colossus doesn't never seems to be a good idea.
Yeah, I almost feel like the correct reaction out of Semper should be to just plant down that early second starport, and actually we do see that second starport just finishing up right now. Needs to probably get a reactor on that, and maybe just pump 3 Vikings and a medevac out at a time. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, yeah, he definitely should. Well, actually, I don't know. I mean, there's always an option that you could switch off, you know, so get that reactor on there, and that might be the better option because, you know, he does want to fight air with air usually, especially when the Colossus are in the mix. So I guess that would be the best option right now for Semper, but unfortunately so many times people are not used to playing against Cervati's style. The style is so weird. I mean, Terran players go up to it, they see the composition, and they're going, what?
Yeah, hindsight is, it's also one of those hindsight is 2012 things. I'm sure that, you know, regardless of whatever these players end up doing, and this kind of happens even for pros, guys, it's just when you see something really strange going on, you have to react to it in this moment. Sometimes you can make decisions that you look back at, maybe even 5 seconds after the game ends. You'll end the game, you'll surrender, and you'll be like, oh god, I should have just done this. And that can be a really frustrating feeling. So that might actually end up happening with Semper. We're going to have to see how much he actually likes the decision he ends up making. And I mean, one thing that's worth looking at right now is just the upgrades as, you know, if you have enough armor and such on your Marines, you can actually do okay-ish against the Colossus. You can see 1-1 finished up for Semper right now, and 2-2 on the way. And in the meanwhile, where are the Protoss upgrades at?
They just finished, like the forges just finished, so the upgrades are actually very much still in Terran's favor, so that's a little something you don't see every day. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's definitely in the lead, because Protoss splash damage is pretty good, and as we see, Saravati is going up to High Templars as well, so he will have a Void Ray, High Templar, Archon, Colossus mix, which just sounds really scary.
Yeah, this is kind of what you imagine the mix that you would get in the single-player campaign, where you're just like, okay, I know that the computer's gonna A-move every single engagement, so all I have to do is defend a little bit, and then I can just get up that money composition that I can just A-move in return and kill everything, throw down a couple of storms, you know, easy mode. I don't think that you could get a more death ballish army than this once you get that mothership out.
Oh my god, Semper Mutiny, turning on his own Marines. He wants to get out a few ghosts. I've had that feeling, bro. Unfortunately, the ghosts are not out, and he's actually going to pick a fight, which is not the best idea, because those ghosts...
Those storms are so good, right on top of the Vikings, and those Vikings are so low in health, he has to be so careful with them now. One more storm could actually spell the disaster of that, but we see the Marines and the Marauders getting such a great concave on that Colossus army. He has managed to take out every single Colossus, but the last Colossus goes down. And oh my god, I do not believe it! Semper was looking to be in not the greatest position in that game. That army composition looks so good with Saravati, but Semper just proving us wrong.
Yeah, that was really interesting that happened there. I'm sure if we had time, we could go back and just like go through slow mo to try and dissect that little battle right there. But the point is, Saravati lost a whole lot. And while he does have those nice little warp gates, he doesn't have much in the way of splash damage. The Zealots are doing a good job buying time, but he needs Colossus or Storm. These High Templars are so close to having Storm. They are the backup High Templars that you need in this high-level game.
Oh no, and he actually ends up losing all of them, and one of them being forced to morph into an Archon. Additional Zealots are going to keep warping in, but again, you have to remember, this is where those upgrades are really going to be factoring in. 2-2 versus 1-1. What wins, guys? It's the 2-2, because we learned math here at the Underrated Team League.
Yes, we do, although not how to put games in order, apparently. Darn. Maybe
worry.
Next time. That'll be a next lesson next time. Yeah, but the upgrade's an excellent point you're making right there. Generally, Zealot Archons, Zealot and Archons with charge have the better upgrades. It makes them really, really effective against MMM. If they don't have the superior upgrades, it actually is kind of like, that's not so great to look at. Now, while the aggression has stopped a little bit for Semper, look what he has back at home. He has Medivacs. He's getting his Viking count up again. He has a lot of ghosts to deal with any Archons or Charge Lots or Storms that are coming out. His 4th is up. His 5th is actually coming up. And his upgrades, he's halfway to 3-3. He's in a beautiful position.
I have to agree. He's doing a fantastic job. We actually have... I don't know if there was a Zealot harassment going on or what, but there were a ton of landed Vikings over at the 4th expansion. Now finally lifting back up, so... I mean...
Actually, 24 robes killed, so...
Oh, wow. Actually, that's pretty good. That's definitely pretty good. But I mean, what are your thoughts about what Saravati should do in this position? I mean, you're hugely down. You can see 70 supply down. Semper is just about maxed out, just healing up his units once again. Is probably going to push very soon, so... What do you do with Saravati to try and actually just stay alive in this situation?
You pretty much have to pray to God they don't attack before you get some storms out. You really need just good splash damage at this point. Unfortunately, he might have been banking on the fact that the Viking count wouldn't be that high, but with 2 starports, the Viking count has already replenished these ghosts enough for doing like a huge amount of damage. And now, with that many ghosts, like he has 1 or more for each storm, the storms actually aren't going to be that great.
Oh god. Yeah, those EMPs go down and eliminate all the remaining storms. Even the Archons basically deplete on shields. The Vikings landing, and the Archons getting cleaned up. This 4th base is definitely going to go down. There is going to be no response. Enough Vikings to even deal with the reinforcing Void Rays. And I feel like we're going to be seeing a GG out of Saravati very soon here.
I think so too. This Terran player is actually building 3 additional command centers. That is kind of an ending move right there.
In the middle of the map.
Yeah, pretty much. That's just in your face. Actually, there's a 4th one in the planetary, so yeah.
And even I like planting down like missile turrets outside of his base. I mean, at this point, I don't think Dark Templar could even make the comeback for him, but there's going to be the GG from Saravati, so that's actually going to bring this series back a little bit in terms of DuSt's or comeback, and it's going to bring it to 3-2.
All right.
Cool, cool. So really awesome game over there. And I mean, what do you think was really just the winning point for Semper? What really just got him ahead in that game?
You know, I would love to go back to that main, you know, battle, that really the one that decided it all, and really just dissect it, because so many things happen in that battle that it's hard to go back and explain. And even if I could myself, people watching would just be like, what the heck is she talking about? But it was just, I want to say a lot of it was luck, a little bit. Not a lot, I meant a little bit was luck. And then the concave was, of course, beautiful. Attacking, you know, Mech and Protoss are a lot of like, Entombed Valley is great for getting those 3-4 bases up, but when you move out, you're at a huge disadvantage for Ling surrounds and the Terran concave. So that was one thing that was going against Saravati. And then just, I feel like the Void Rays were to counteract the Vikings, and the Storms were going to be for the Marines, but the Storms ended up being for the Vikings and not for the Marines, so the Marines could actually attack the Void Rays, and the Vikings still got some shots off on the Colossus, so it was just a lot of things going on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of weird to see those different unit compositions and how they engage in those really big battles, because sometimes you can be really surprised, kind of like how, I know at least I was really surprised by the outcome of that. I thought that there were just going to be so many Colossus. I saw the amazing storm goes going down on the Vikings, but as you said, I guess not having those storms for the actual Marine Marauder ball just hurt quite a bit. So I think that's a really astute observation there. But with that said, we're going to go into our last 2 games, I believe. Yeah, probably 2 games, maybe 1 game. We're going to have to wait and see, as it's game number 6. We're getting very close to the end here.
Yeah, we are.
And I think that the map is going to be Ohana, and it's going to be a Zerg versus Terran. And I believe this is where, who is actually going to be playing? Semper versus Engine. We're gonna see the return of Engine, guys.
Yes.
Don't think about it too much. Just relax. Just relax. Hey, just say, hey, Engine. Look at how funny that name is spelled. Engine. It's spelled with a Y. You don't see that every day. But with that said, I just want to say, huge shout out to all of our sponsors: Next Level SC2, Origin PC, and SC2 Gears. You can see all their awesome little logos up there. I'm doing 2 fingers on both sides because I'm really bad with the camera. Okay. No. Okay, there and there. Yeah, those are where the logos are, so go ahead and check them out. But with that said, you want to jump into game number 6, Zombie?
I'm ready.
All right, sounds good. And let me just make sure I have the scoreboard updated. With that said, let's do this. And starting over 3, 2, 1, go! On top of Clarity's Engine, going to come out and represent Team Clarity to see whether or not he can make a comeback for his team. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner as the Teal Zerg.
And in the bottom right, we do have the yellow Terran. It's going to be DuSt Semper, showing some superb PvT, even up against Saravati's kind of odd style. How will he react to Engine?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what he's going to do in this game, because this is actually the second Zerg that we've seen. Right? Yeah, second Zerg that we've seen in this entire series. And, I mean, not a whole lot of Protoss or Terran versus Zerg. This is actually the only one we've seen. The last one was a Protoss versus Zerg, and that means that we get to talk a lot about what's kind of going on in this matchup. I mean, what do you generally see out of Zerg players these days? What do you generally see out of Terran players these days?
Alright, so this is where I shine, right? No, I'm just kidding. Terran versus Zerg. It's so many Terran tears have been shed, and it's so easy when you're on ladder to just blame Zerg overpoweredness, of course. But Zerg's generally dominating. Some Terrans do have that stigma against Zerg that's already in their in their mind when they face them, so that's already an edge in the Zerg's favor. But Zerg, you know, a few months ago they were doing straight Stefano style, double upgrades, Ling and Fester into Ultralisk. Now they've kind of moved away into Ling and Fester Broodlords more often than not. Ohana, specifically, Terrans, you know, known for bio-mech. Ohana can be a very good mech map. It's very linear, easy 3 bases. Problem is that with that new style, or the most popular style, I should say, Engine can get Broodlords before an attack from Semper going mech, will hit, and that could just lead a whole lot of headaches. So I'm not sure if Semper feels comfortable enough going mech, or we're just going to see bio from him.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to see which of those two he's going to be going for. But one of the things I feel like I see a lot of Terran players going for is just that Reactor Hellion into Banshee style build while getting that command center behind all of the aggression. Do you think we're probably going to be seeing that on this map also?
I can almost guarantee it. Ohana is very good for that as well. The Xel'Nagas are in, you know, really nice position to get the scout off on any creep spread that's going on, and that's really why you get it. So you can deny queens and you can deny creep spread. Any additional bonus kills with the drones is just an added bonus. What the real question is like, if he goes for it, how long will he stay on it? And by the way, getting 2 gases, generally an indication he's going to go for factory starport. But how long he'll stay on it, and if he's going to transition into mech or bio.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. And I think with how early those gases are, do you think we're going to be seeing a cloak go down maybe?
That, it isn't... You can see it, and you cannot. It depends on how good the scouting of the Zerg player is. Generally, you're going to see a Marine making sure that OVO doesn't get in. Ohana is a very good map for that. They generally do not get in if the Marine is there. If they don't get in, you see Cloak. If they do get in, sometimes you see Cloak cancel or Cloak fake, you know, with that, whatever that upgrade is called, the medevac one.
Yeah, a lot of, what is it, Mobius Reactor?
No, that's the ghost one.
Oh god, there's so many...
Caduceus Reactor, I think is what it's called.
Real talk, zombie. Real talk. Terran have the most unused upgrades. Okay, can we just talk about the bunker reinforcement upgrade that adds slots to it? Why does nobody get that?
Are you kidding me? That is so useless.
Okay, you know what? You just don't have any value. All you Terran players don't have any value for your Marines, okay? You know what?
We don't.
If I was the commander of an army, I'd be, you know what? Every single life is precious. We're going to put as many Marines into this bunker as possible so that you guys don't be vulnerable to those Baneling busts. I mean, we know that you guys have been voicing your concerns. That's why we put the suggestion box there. So, yeah, we're going to upgrade our bunkers. You know what? You have to think of the people sometimes.
You sound like me as a 12-year-old playing Brood War. I'm going to name this one Joe. And this one, I'm going to make sure he stays alive because he has 4 kids and he's sending them to college.
Oh, God. That's pretty funny. But
I was a great Brood player, no lie.
But you know, with that said, we do actually see the Zerg player Engine, or, Engine. Okay, yeah, teal Zerg player. I was really weirded out for a second because I thought it was actually... I'm actually going to turn off the colors just to make it a little bit easier because I know teal and yellow can sometimes be a little bit confusing, but we do see the teal Zerg player going for those 2 gas geysers and meanwhile Semper getting those Hellions out. What do you think both these players are up to at this point?
At this point, Semper is really going to macro up. He is going to look for any drone kills possible, but really just going to deny the creep spread. And this is what I'm talking about. Soon that creep spread is actually going to be in vision of the Xel'Naga, so he will be on top of any forming creep tumors like, well, that, I just already did it, but, queens, 3 queens, going up to 5 actually, 4 to 6, 5 is usually against those Hellion builds. 3 queens is going to spread creep like crazy. You need to be on top of your Hellions and on top of your Banshees. And with the Hellions sighted, Semper, you know, it's always possible that Zerg players actually blind counter the Banshee. It doesn't look like he's going to do it, but he's definitely going to have that in the back of his mind.
Yeah, and we do have both of those evolution chambers down, so again, Spore Crawlers could go up, but of course, we don't see Cloak out actually at all, do we?
No, we don't. So he's actually not going to stay in it for too long. He's actually also getting the 2 barracks fairly quickly, actually. Not choosing to go for the early... Oh, no, he does go for the 3rd. So a 3rd and 2 barracks pretty quickly to make up for the lack of that cloak. And the queens are actually attacking the Hellions right here, but obviously the Hellions get the creep kill, which is what they really want. And this Banshee will just be a headache, honestly, because the creep spread is not quite over to the 3rd. Could do a lot of damage to any drones over there.
Yeah, it's going to be... Oh my god, this is so smart by Semper, knowing that creep spread is actually not completely connected. Sends a Banshee over there to the 3rd and pulls all those queens over behind the 3rd, and meanwhile just says, hey, well now I'll just scan and take out all of your creep tumors. Here it goes to undoing all of the work you've been working toward the past, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's actually what this is what this build is made for. You push and you pull queens out of position, you know, etc., etc. And when you go for a lot of queens, you generally do not have a lot of lings. Unfortunately, Semper does try to go up there, but the wall has been made and there are lings out in the field. Their upgrades are about halfway done, while his engine does not have an engineering bay yet. Engineering bay.
That was funnier than it should have been.
But he actually needs to go ahead and scan to see if the layer's up. He wants to know if a Spire's on the way and to prepare, you know, obviously with turrets. It is going to be an infestation pit, though, a lot more common with Masters players, pretty much. And yeah, we're going to have just a pretty normal game, actually. I don't expect any really huge swells coming out from the Zerg player.
Yeah, kind of interesting note is that in terms of worker skills, we have 0 from both sides. So I know generally a lot of people tend to think Hellions, line them up, Banshees, back in beta days, we're getting 24 kills every single game, and that was standard. But, I mean, 0 kills with this build, do you think, is that going to put Semper a little bit behind? Or actually, hold that thought, we actually have an engagement of a little bit, and the Banshees trying to engage those Queens, able to take out both of them, and the Hellions also staying alive. I feel like that engagement really favored Semper, but, you know, as I have been saying that, do you think that Semper is a little bit behind and needed that kind of engagement to actually come back in this, just because he didn't really get a lot of those kills?
It's really hard to say, actually. He didn't stay on this build too long. If he was still pumping out Hellions and Banshees, I would say most definitely. He is, though, getting tanks and medevacs and his upgrades going on, so his infrastructure is actually not that bad. So I would say he's okay not doing a whole lot of damage. Additionally, no cloak, so I'm gonna say he's okay. That, you know, if anything, that attack right there, killing those banelings and the lings and the 2 queens, probably made it everything even.
Fair enough. It definitely makes a lot of sense. And, you know, in the meanwhile, we do actually see the +1/+1 going down for Semper, as, you know, it's going to be closing up and finishing up very soon. And in the meanwhile, where do we have the upgrades for the Zerg player?
1-1 with 2-2, about halfway done.
That's pretty good. So it looks like the Zerg player does have that little lead over there. So we're going to see if that stays or if he's going to actually fall a little bit behind once the Terran player goes for 2-2. And with Infestors out on the map, what do you think is going to be going through Semper's mind, as these Banshees are going to encounter them very, very soon, I feel?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, first he has to actually see them, and then he'll be like, oh god. But no. He's going to see them.
Fungal growth going down on both of them, and
okay, well,
loses one of them. Not going to get the fungal growth down on the second one, but I mean, now that he's actually seen them and unfortunately had a loss of one of his civilian Banshees, poor little Susan is going to have to go back and report the loss of Jill. What is going through Semper's mind?
I like that. Pretty much Semper wants to start, you know, you always want to split as a Terran player generally against Zerg players, but now he's going to have to be very, very afraid. Like right now, he should definitely not be clumped up. The Zerg player is anywhere near him, he needs to start spreading out. He also wants to start paying attention to his medevac count. He wants to get that really, really high. He probably wants to add on additional factory, which he is, to get double tanks out, because you want to take away that ability for the fungals to get anywhere near you, and that's going to be with the tanks. Additionally, he's going to have to worry about that hive. Infestors are out, that means hive is within the Zerg player's reach, and actually it is done right now, so he needs to scan.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be very careful about that. I mean, there have been so many times, not even just like in low-level play, as this is definitely some high-level play that we're seeing, but even at the highest level of play, you see those Koreans playing, and even they can get caught completely off guard by that hive tech from a Zerg player, and when they do, it is just so painful to watch them just fall apart as all their siege tanks are on the other side of the map. They're on top of that creep, and they're just trying to run away from those poor little broodlings.
Yeah, it's really disappointing to see that happen, and we're actually not going to see Broodlords, we're actually going to see Ultralists, but that's still the same effect. Like, the Marauder count's fairly low. He is starting to get a few out just because they're good at sniping those Infestors, but he wants to, you know, I can't believe he's not scanning quite yet. It is 15 minutes, that's a good, you know, time to scan, especially if you know they're going Infestor. So I'm really worried for Semper right here. He's up in supply, but that's only because Engine's banking a lot for those Ultralisk.
Yeah, we can actually see he's basically taken the entire side of his side of the map, as that last expansion is going to go down. It's going to be very difficult for him to actually get an expansion after that, so really curious to see when Semper's going to go ahead and try and grab his own fourth. He's actually just going to be falling behind a little bit, I feel.
Oh, I am so worried for Semper right now. I mean, just look at those marine clumps. I'm just...
Oh, God.
Ugh. Okay, his tank's actually being misrallied, so there's 2 that are not even there's like a bunch of high-tech units that aren't even accounted for to the left side, so that's really not going to help him. The Marines are so clumped up. Where are those infestors? Oh my god.
Oh my god, so many Zergling losses that they try and run by, but fortunately for him, as you said, so many clumped up Marines that it looks like those Banelings are able to just get fantastic hits. And oh my god, look at this. They're both maxed out already after both of them losing a ton of units. That just goes to show how much of a macro game this is turning out to be, as they both have some really high levels of production facilities. We can see even over here at the third, needing that real estate at the third to actually produce everything.
Okay, an engagement's about to go down. And his tank gun's actually really nice with these Ultralisks. Are you okay?
Oh my god, those fungals.
Oh god.
Even the last fungal,
That
just to
last
clean up
one
those
was-
Marines.
Yeah, that was funny. He scans ahead, knows that his medevac production is definitely going to have to go farther ahead. The tank count is nice, but they're not sieged. Oh!
Yeah, loses a ton of those siege tanks almost immediately, and you can see that all the siege tanks have basically fallen at this point. It's just Marines and a couple of Marauders left over. Is that going to be enough?
Oh, I do not think so. He doesn't actually have that great of a attack path right now. If he could find a choke somewhere, he could do some serious damage to the Ultralisk, but he really can't. He doesn't have enough army supply, honestly. He's at 130 compared to 160, and Engine's actually maxing out on Zerglings, which is a really nice idea because at this point in time, Semper is probably going to be overproducing Marauders and tanks, so changing to Zerglings, very low cost, uses up all those larvae, and can surprise your opponent.
Yeah, and I mean, that is exactly what just happened, and Semper is down 60 supply. He needs to do something to come back in this game as the Ultrals are just barreling down, moving into the natural. There's the GG coming out from DuSt Semper, and that's going to put another win into the column for Team Clarity, and you know what that means. 4-2 victory for Team Clarity.
Yay! It's still matched up.
And I just want to say, Cutie Pie, they're really high level of play. That's the level that these players are. They're all high master level players, and I would actually say this. I'm pretty sure that both of these players, or a lot of these players, could easily take games off of some of the top level pros. Like, there's definitely a chance that they could take some games off the top level pros.
I'm pretty sure all of these guys are fighting every single season to get into GM, and really GM's at a certain point just how many games you get to play and how lucky you are. So they're constantly fighting against them. They'll send their casters replays of them facing really big names. I've gotten a few already, so definitely high level.
And really quickly, if you are still around, I'm really sorry, Kyrobs, that you were getting a little bit of lag. Unfortunately, we don't actually have a way to turn down the quality right now, but, you know, keep supporting. You are being team underrated, and hopefully that we will actually have that option in the future. But yeah, that's actually going to mean a 4-2 victory again for Clarity Gaming. So taking out Team DuSt. This is, again, the group stages, so that does mean that, you know, teams aren't being eliminated. They're still going to get a chance to play in the future weeks because group stages, it's not like elimination style brackets right now. But still, very important stage right now because I think it's a top 2 advance from each group. Is that correct, Zombie?
I'm sorry, what?
Top 2 advance from each group in the URTL?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so all these teams are definitely going to be fighting for it. So, I mean, we almost saw that Clarity Gaming was on the verge of getting an all kill, or at least it might have been. But yeah, getting very close to that, especially being up 3 games. So it was fortunate that DuSt was able to at least deny that, so that is going to put them in a slightly better position for their group. But really awesome games. I was super excited to see a lot of the different styles of play. We also got to see Saravati's Stargate style play against the Terran, even though it didn't work out. I think we got to see a little bit of the idea behind that, using those Void Rays to actually keep the Terran at home, stop him from doing things like going for those drops. He needed all those Marines, and couldn't really afford to make a lot of Marauders just because he needed to deal with those Void Rays, and that forced that unit composition. Tries to go for Colossus, or really greedily behind it off of 1 gateway. Didn't 100% work out just due to the engagement, but really cool stuff. Then we also saw this last game where we saw Engine really just go for those Ultralisks, and the Ultralisks, a little bit too much for Semper, was able to take that game.
Yeah, it was actually a really, really nice game.
Oh my god, we actually have Saravati in the chat.
Yeah, I've he's been in there for a while actually.
Oh, big hearts to Saravati for some awesome games. I love it when we get to see some unorthodox games.
Yeah, it's always such a pleasure to see what Sarabody has coming out next. So I hope he enjoyed us complimenting him left and right.
I know, right? Complete flattery, but I mean, definitely a really fantastic play on both sides. As we saw Semper actually take out Suravati with some really fantastic play, a really awesome concave, especially I have to say, and pretty good reaction also.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much going to be it. We're pretty much wrapping up. So I just want to say big heart to all of our sponsors, and of course Saravati. He's not our sponsor, but he's super awesome. And yeah, please go ahead and check them out. That's Next Level SC2. You can find them at nextlevelsc2.net. We finally have releases of those tutorials from them, so please go ahead and check those out. I believe that they're free, as I was watching a ton of them earlier today, and they're super awesome. We also have our local caster, Xander Fever, for the URTL, actually doing some of the tutorials, so please go ahead, check those out, support them, and you can even actually upvote the tutorials that you like, and also downvote the tutorials you don't like, but I haven't actually seen anyone downvote any of them, because they're all really awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, is there anything else that we need to talk about?
Origin PC is also super awesome, so please go ahead and check them out. They're awesome gaming PCs that would just stop that annoying little stuttering that's going on in your computer. Yeah, I know you out there, you're the one that's watching this on a laptop is just like, oh, but I need something better because I can only play StarCraft at 4 frames per second. Trust me, I was there. It helps. Go check out Origin PC now and start saving up money for that, as I don't think they're even that expensive. But yeah, with that said, SC2 Gears, our last sponsor, so big hearts out to them. It's completely free. Please go check it out. It's an awesome replay analysis program. It goes really well with the Next Level SC2 because you'll watch Next Level SC2, see the kind of builds that you can do, see how you can improve your stuff, and then you can go play a bunch of games, load up those the stats for those games in SC2 Gears, and just see where you went wrong, see if you're missing those larva injects around a certain time, all that kind of good stuff. So go ahead and check that out.
Definitely. Every great player uses ST2 gears.
And I think with that said, we're finally done. So thank you so much to everyone that decided to tune in. Big hearts out to you, especially during a, slightly more dead time, especially after those big tournaments like MLG. You see that all the player streams are gone. But you know what? URTL is here for you guys. We're here Monday through Friday, and definitely make sure you check us out. Actually, Monday through Saturday, or Sunday through Friday. When's
Monday
the
through
recap
Saturday.
Day, actually? Monday through Saturday. Saturday is the recap day. We'll
Yes.
recap any of the games in case you guys are busy during the week. You miss some of the awesome games. We'll go ahead and recap some of the more awesome games that were played out during the week. So check that out.
Definitely. And,
I think we're good to go.
all right, then I guess since I'm the co-caster, I'll say my thing before you say your
Yeah.
thing.
Go for it.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to apologize for playing a little out of order, but it ended up working out actually fine, so I can't be that sorry about it. But I am Zombie Grub. You can catch me on Twitter at ZG Gaming, Twitch, I'm a Masters Terran, and YouTube are both Zombie Grub as well. Thanks to all our sponsors, thanks to my team, Underrated Gaming, for hosting this team league, and thanks for Fear with casting with me.
Oh, thank you, Zombie, and big hearts out to you. Please go check her out. She's super duper awesome and a really fun caster to commentate with. Actually, this is actually the first time we've commentated together for the URTL.
Yes, last time you had like an emergency, so.
Oh god, yeah. One of my friends was like, "Oh, dude, I need to be picked up from the airport because the shuttles aren't going anymore, and a taxi. I don't have enough money for a cab." And I'm like, "Oh, fine, all right." But anyways, you guys can check me out. I'm Fear Dragon. You can check me out over at youtube.com/FearDragon64. That's the main place where I really have content, uploading for the most part daily StarCraft content, completely free, no ads attached, because I feel pretty happy. I don't need the money right now. And yeah, you can also catch me over at twitch.tv/FearDragon64. I occasionally will be casting show matches and all that kind of stuff. So hit me up if you have a show match that you want casted, even if it's just between your school and some other school or something like that. I'd love to cast it. I'm just enjoy watching StarCraft. So yeah, I think I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm pretty much ready to just get out of here. I want tomorrow's URTL to go because I'm casting that too.
Well, it
Right.
should be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be casting with Xander Fever and Mr. Llama, so please go ahead and check that out. That's going to be at 7 o'clock and 9:30 tomorrow. And you know what? If you're like me and have the worst memory in the world, just go ahead and subscribe to UR Gaming over here on Twitch. You guys are watching it right here. So just click that subscribe button right up over there, and definitely helps out not only for us, but just to help you guys remember when URTL is actually happening. And with that said, last note, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, it's twitch.tv/URgaming. And
Good thing to remember.
yeah, definitely. And with that said, we're pretty much ready to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and any parting words, Zombie?
Nope, that's pretty much it. Just thanks for watching, guys.
All right, take it easy, guys. Take care.
Save us. I never let you go. So much pressure, so much heat, so much hustle. They want me. So much pressure, so much heat, so much hustle. They want me. I want you to take over control. You light me up. Give me everything. I gotta hang on. Want you to take over control. You light me up. Give me everything. I gotta hang over, 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 over.
You arrive in the rising sun, the hidden passenger that I've been taking. Close your eyes, let's forget again. As you drag me down, I will take you in. What are you waiting for? Just surrender here tonight. What are you waiting for? As we go towards the light. When everything is said and done, so looking for answers, if only one.
Yeah.